my son that I had at 18 is my lead guitar player. And now for a living, I sing and I speak. So the writing was on the wall.
The lyrics that are amazing, but your delivery of it and your passion. I watch that YouTube video of that song over and over and over again, and every time I get goosebumps. Welcome back, SLAE family. I am thrilled to be here today with a phenomenal guest who I've been dying to have join us. And from California, we have tuning in Amy Scruggs. Amy, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, this is such a treat. I've been really looking forward to it too. We are about to have a good time here. So brace yourself, everyone. Get a snack, sit down, and let's do this.
We're definitely going to have a ball. Amy is amazingly talented. And as for women, she sets the example of how to juggle 20,000 things while having a professional career. If you're not familiar with her, many of you may have heard her song, which I love, What If It All Goes Right? And if you have not heard that song, the first thing you need to do is go on to Spotify, YouTube, or anything and grab that song ASAP. So, Amy, you've had a lot of success with that song, and you've had a lot of success in the music industry overall. Can we start off in the beginning? How did you get started in the music industry? What was your first big break? How did you know it was your calling when you started?
You know, it's interesting with the last name of Scruggs, it kind of chose me. You got the name Scruggs, well, country music. So three, my dad was always influencing country music on me. And I started singing and playing piano by ear at 3 years old. So there was something in me that was literally my born spirit that said, this is what you're going to do. By the time I was 5, if somebody asked me, what are you going to do when you grow up? I said, well, I'm going to be Barbara Mandrell. Of course I am. What else would it be? Because I didn't even fathom that there was any other pathway. That was it. And of course, I was forced into sports and all other different opportunities, and I always just right back over to the music. In high school, even I was the one always on the report card that said talks too much. All I wanted to do was be in the choir and the ensembles. I wanted to sing and I wanted to speak. And now for a living, I sing and I speak. So the writing was on the wall. And I know some of my teachers still follow me on social media, and I love you all. Thank you so much. The writing was on the wall. It was there. So I knew that that was what I was going to do. But life has a way of throwing you different curveballs, like all of us. And we have choices when life happens to say, well, then that's it. It's never going to happen. Or, okay, well, this will be interesting. Now it's just going to happen a different way. And I had my first child at 18.
Mm.
So that changed everything. And then I went on to have, 3 more different life experiences. And I started off in the corporate world in mortgage and real estate in the 2000s. And it was booming then, and especially in California. And then 2008 happened and the recession hit. And so did my career. Just hit the
Yes.
floor, done. Could not provide for the kids. Everything that I had known to be providing in sales. And I was really top in the sales chain with Citi Financial and Citibank. And that changed everything. And so I decided to take the same sales skills, the same drive, the same passion, and put it right back into the music career I had always wanted. It's just this time I've got kids in tow. But I went out and asked for the business and put a marketing plan together and put a business plan with it. So many artists wonder why things aren't moving forward, but they don't have a business plan. And it's a business. They call it music business for a reason. So I went out and just started asking for the business. And 6 months later, I was given the opportunity to open for Clint Black on the 4th of July in Arizona on a national stage. And that moment that I said, okay,
Amazing.
we're going to leverage this. So I'm going to get all the press I can. I was on the morning TV shows, whatever I needed to do to utilize that experience so that I could go find more of those experiences and the doors that opened from there. And it was hard. 4 kids on the road, on tour, trying to juggle it, make sure everybody's okay. And by that point, though, what I love to share is that my son that I had at 18 is my lead guitar player. And he started playing for me at 16, and he's still my lead guitar player to this day at 33.
That's just amazing. And to be able to do all that, just for having 4 kids overwhelms most people in the first place.
It overwhelms me every
But,
day,
oh,
honestly.
that's just incredible. And so you got to be with a lot of big artists. You had a heck of a career. What was one of your favorite pinch me moments where you were going, oh my gosh, this is really happening for me?
As a kid, I grew up on the old country. I have to say performing for Charlie Daniels, that was like, "Oh my gosh, the devil went down to Georgia," right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was a big one of pinch me. "Oh my gosh, I'm opening for Charlie Daniels." Clint Black was definitely the big one,
Mm.
but what for me went on is another piece of that component is starting at 3 and 4 years old. I was always practicing the national anthem. So for me, the knowing that I was going to perform the national anthem or want to honor our troops was a part of my childhood. My dad had been in the Air Force, and so I was raised that way. Well, starting in 2009, I became the spokesperson for the American Veterans for California. So now I was doing what I visualized as a kid, and I was singing on military bases. I was singing the national anthem at the ball games and in major stadiums and hockey games and rodeos and you name it. I became actually known for performing the national anthem before any other music. And so I think that was that, wow, this is really happening. And then in 2011, Dodger Stadium and the US Army invited me to come out and honor our heroes on the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. So here I stood in Dodger Stadium, and growing up in LA, that's that home stadium that you want to get to. And here I stood in that stadium singing in honoring of such a reverent event. And then my youngest child was standing next to me at home plate on camera at 6 years old. So I've had this beautiful moment of immersing my children in to the story of fulfilling those passions, doing the dream in the way that I visualized it, not in a way that I wasn't going to sing in bars with kids in tow. That's not going to happen. We found
Yes.
family festivals and opening for some of the major artists and doing military events that my kids could go to. So the career was as much about them as it was about what I was trying to do.
Remarkable. And can we just take a second and dive into that song? Love that song. I mean, not that it's the only song you have. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's the one. That was the gift.
That song is phenomenal. The lyrics to that are amazing, but your delivery of it and your passion. I mean, I watch that YouTube video of that song over and over and over again, and every time I get goosebumps. So tell us a little bit about that song and what it means to you, please.
It's interesting that the pandemic hit like it did for all of us and our lives went on
Yes.
hold. I was a full-time TV host. I was still performing and like the rest of us, now we're at home going, uh-oh, now what? But I got a call from my dear friend James in Nashville, had been supporting me since 2004 when I started recording out there and had to take breaks back and forth and all the things that I went through. But he said, Amy, I have found you your producer. And he had reached out to Fred Mullen and asked if he would produce me. Well, during this time in 2021, musicians were home, the producers were home, everybody's home. They weren't out touring yet. So it was this
Mhm.
perfect window of opportunity for me to be able to go and record my dream album after all these years. And so we started the song search process and we went through 1,000 songs. And when that title came across my email, I said, that's the one. It could have sounded like the alphabet song. And I knew I was going to do it because just the title and the lyrics, I said, that's the one. And here's the thing is that if that song had found me 20 years ago, I would have screwed it up. I didn't have the life experience. I didn't have the loss, the joy, the perspectives to have delivered it the way that I did at 48 years old, to go, okay, I get it. This is what I want my kids to understand. This is what I want those young adults that I mentored. This is what I want other professionals and especially women. My goodness, we have to push that stone uphill so much more. I have battled that. And this was my message in my heart to say, I'm not in this now to say, I need this to be a hit. I didn't. I just needed it to be a blessing. And that's what ended up happening. So this song has taught me and blessed me as much as it has the rest of the world that has embraced it. And I'm very, very grateful.
It's just phenomenal. And anyone who has ever had a dream, whether they have gone through and they're stuck somewhere or they're on the other side, they've accomplished it, that song just completely cuts through. It's just phenomenal. And
Yes.
congratulations on the success of it. But now I want to switch gears for a minute because in addition to conquering the world of music, you also now run a media coaching business. So let's talk about the origin of that and what you're providing in terms of services for people.
Well, it's so fun because I organically stepped into this media world, going from touring and then in 2017 getting asked to host a television show because it was a show that was going to be really centered on mortgage and real estate, which I had all that experience back in the early 2000s, and the veterans, which I was the former spokesperson with the veterans. So I think I was the only person in San Diego that met both those criterias. Plus, I'm comfortable on camera because I'm a performer. So I said, let's do this. Well, I spent 5 years in that studio hosting 5 different shows and producing. And I was able to identify so many common threads with great professionals that come in and have an incredible message or business or story, and they freeze up when the camera goes on
Mm.
and they lose their beautiful moment. You have 3 minutes on this TV segment and you spent two of them with filler words. Yeah, so thank you for having me here. And I realized that in the seat, I was starting to coach people. Let's try that again. Let's just hit that. You had such a powerful message when we were off camera. The camera went on. Where'd you go? Right?
Where'd you
Well,
go? I like
where'd you
that.
where'd you go? And I have so many where'd you go moments that I go, what just happened? Where did you go? Bring it back. And then COVID hit. And now it wasn't just helping professionals that wanted to be on a television show. The entire world went on camera because that's the only way we could communicate and work. And I realized, oh my goodness, I have a skill and an ability to help individuals even improve on their Zooms because we
Yes.
remember the Zoom fails of 2020. I mean, they were just epic. And anyone still doing those things, come on, let's just get up to date. But at that time, I was definitely helping individuals even just framing themselves and know how to speak into the camera and to be able to represent themselves. And so the coaching really went from there. So during the pandemic, instead of sitting around and watching TV, because that's just not who I am, I wrote a book, Lights, Camera, Action, Media Coaching, and started doing the virtual coaching, which I was able to do, and then went to the studio and recorded a new album. So I came out by 2022 with a best-selling book and a new album to promote. And
Just like
that's
everyone did on lockdown. I'm
I
just
never left
saying.
this office. This room I'm sitting in, I think I didn't leave it for 2 years and they were just sliding food under the door. But I'm so thankful for that journey because when we see life take a shift like that, we have a choice. And I could have used that choice to say, I'm going to do the wellness and I'm going to do yoga and just walk. And that could have been a great and brought me beautiful, wonderful success. But I knew it was my time to go in because I'd never been given a gift of time like that before. And I saw it as that. Never in my life, I was always so hustling. Could I have sat down and wrote a book? Could I have sat down and thought about what would I want an album to look like? Could I have put together a different virtual network than I had had before? And now I'm living the results of that. And I'm really glad I made that decision, as tough as it was, and as much as my family was ready to put me into an institution.
But look, it was a crazy time for so many people, but to take that time and transform it into something empowering, magical, where you can have a huge impact on people. And what a gift. Some people just sat in their house and overate and drank and watched Netflix for
Yes.
a couple years. So
I didn't want to look back and see that I wasted it. I knew as it was happening, there's something, I mean, this is a global thing. We're watching it on the news and we're just, stuck
mm,
in this awe of, wow, we're really going through this in our lifetime. But I knew when I retold the story, when I sat in an interview in 2024, just like we're doing now, that I was going to tell a different story. And
amazing.
that's what I've done.
I mean, actually, I started SLAE when I was on
Yes.
lockdown. Like, okay,
And aren't you
let's see
so
what we can
thankful?
do now.
And
So
everyone in your network is thankful that you chose that.
listen, we all make crazy choices, and during times like that, you just have to get creative. You either
Yes.
end up in a straitjacket or you got to get creative. Those are really the two only
Yes.
options on the table. Now, in addition to all that, you are really involved a lot in the nonprofit sector. And I'd
Yes.
love for you to share with everybody where you're making a difference in some of the projects and things that you're doing in the nonprofit world.
Well, I love that I started with AMVETS all those years ago because that was a foundation that taught me about service organizations, where they're growing, who they're serving, where that disconnect is of reaching those that they're trying to serve. I did a lot of work with Kiwanis and the USO. So now in this stage, I've been a Rotarian for the past 5 years. I joined Rotary International and learning that same language of service. Amazing individuals who are trying to feed the homeless or help a cause or help animals or climate change, all the different causes that we all join in. Or why we're reading that wall, why is nobody know we're doing this, how come nobody showed up to our beach cleanup today? The world has to know you're there, who you are, what you do, and who you serve. And most individuals don't know how to craft in
Mm.
that message of who they are, what they do, and who they serve. So I help nonprofits, a lot of Rotary. I do a lot of speaking for Rotary International, but other nonprofits to say, let's just help craft in your message and teach you how to put that out there in an organic way and in the digital market, and just letting people know who you are using your physical network, and you can go serve more. And that's what it's about.
And it's wild because sometimes there are nonprofits that are so powerful and people knew about them, the impact they would have is just incredible.
Yes.
The- just when I first started doing this, I interviewed a person who runs a nonprofit, and they help rehabilitate women who are coming out of being rescued from sex trafficking. And to help them, all you have to do is send them your bras. I know that sounds crazy.
Oh, it's
We
amazing.
can reference the video another time, but I'm going, how many women do you know that have a bra sitting like that they don't wear with it? But so many people never heard of it. I'd never heard of it. I'm like, oh, if we could get the word out. So what you're doing is you're taking a nonprofit that can have an impact. You're teaching them really the power of digital media, and then you're helping them frame it, which is huge.
Yes. It's so huge because our digital world is here to stay. And if COVID didn't teach us anything, to survive and stay connected. Can you imagine what it was like for those to go through the pandemic in the the early 1900s when they didn't have internet, the isolation that they experienced? We had
Um,
the tools to stay connected. And so the same principles apply when we're trying to now continue our growth in our business, in our nonprofit, in our outreach, and just our messaging. It's amazing who we can reach and how we can strategically target those that are like-minded, that are the ones that are going to receive that message.
so you conquered the music world. You are running.
Conquer's a big word. I
Yeah, I
definitely
think
danced in it a long time, and I took a beating, got sucked up into a tornado, run over by a truck, kicked into the curb, and then came out 20 years later with a song that's a blessing that I'm proud of, that's blessing the world. I'm bruised and bloodied on the side of the road, but everybody is blessed by that song.
listen, here's my philosophy, okay? If you have achieved success in any industry, you had to get beat up to get there. Like, I
Oh,
don't really believe in overnight. I don't think there's any such thing as an overnight success.
no,
Just
20-year overnight,
whether
no.
no, no, and when people go, "Oh, they're an overnight success," I'm like, "Well, you just didn't see the 10 or 20 years that they suffered before they hit this one thing that made them big." I mean, I
Yes,
just believe that it's all nonsense when people say overnight success. If you're an overnight success, you'll be an overnight failure 5 minutes later.
right.
The people that stick, that have impact, they went through it. So let me rephrase my question. Now I'm going to pull up my lawyer skills. Okay. So if you have now had great success in the music industry, you've had great success as an author, you're running your media coaching business, you have all these different things. If somebody wants to be you, follow in your shoes, maybe they have some similar aspirations, what advice would you give to someone?
Take the limits off. If hearing my story can show you anything, who would have thought that that baby I had at 18 would be my lead guitar, a professional singer at 18? And I could have been sad and disappointed that this railroaded my life forever versus walking the journey and realizing I needed him to play guitar for me. So it was worth the wait. And so anyone who has that dream, if you keep making daily choices that are leading you in that direction, and it might be just reading a book based on what your passion is and what you're trying to start your business is, connecting with other people that are in that. If you keep yourself immersed in an organic way, in what you're absorbing, what you're thinking about, you're going to keep aligning. And it's amazing thing's going to drop right out of left field you didn't see coming because you're attracting that in. And
Mm.
if you take time and space off of it, like I have to be this by the time I'm 30, I have to be that by the time I'm 40. Well, if this doesn't happen by next year, if I don't reach that sales goal next year, then that's it. What if we just take that off and say, I'm going to do the best I can every day to be driving my life and my vision and my purpose towards what I know is my passion and what I'm supposed to be doing, and watch and see what happens. To finally have my radio hit at 49 years old, when at 30 in Nashville, they were telling me I was too old.
Mm.
19 years later, everybody's like, wow, what a great song. Yeah, no kidding. And I'm still hopefully holding up the curb appeal, and I still have a great attitude. I try not to act old, right? I'm still youthful in my spirit. Age is limitless. Our abilities are limitless. We just have to believe that, or we are going to put our own blocking on our own journey. And
Mm.
I get punched left and right. I mean, this year has been a year that if there is a punch that keep coming out of left field, I've had it. But I go, oh, okay. Well, then that means I'm supposed to pause this for a minute, and then it'll come back, or it'll be better than I thought. And I'm being protected for something that would have hurt me more, because we're never promised that life isn't going to hit us. We're going to have to shift all the time. I said this to
Oh,
my mother yesterday. She goes, "You just, how are you doing? You've changed your life for this and that." I said, "No, I just shift. It's not, I just shift.
yeah.
What's wrong with that? You got to be adaptable and you've got to shift." And then I have the most amazing highs. I have a lot of lows, but I have amazing highs. But I will end my life knowing that I didn't live vanilla in the middle. Just, oh no, I'm not going to try that. Boy, have I lived.
You have, and look, I think your advice was incredible. I don't want to go past that too quick. That was phenomenal advice. And then you did mention, so I hope you're all right. I'm going to bring this up,
Please, but
but you mentioned a few punches. You had a really interesting year so far. So, you're a mom of four, you've got grandkids on the way, and now you are helping take care of your father. And that has been a whole nother experience. And I know that there are people who are going to be listening to this and watching this that are going through what you're going through. So it's not too personal. Would you share a little bit about?
No, I'm happy to share it because especially for women, we talk about if there is a poster for sandwich generation, my face is on it right now because that's like I feel like the spokesperson for sandwich, that's me. But it's going to happen and we never know when it's going to happen. And yes, I really got hit. I was full coaching, full clients, public speaking all the time and I'm talking 6 months ago. And I had 2 kids that decided to get married 10 days apart in 2 different states and I thought that was the peak of my stress. I said, "Really guys? Really? Really can we not space this out?" But I started noticing during that time that I wasn't feeling well and something was off. And this is my message especially to women. Listen to your body.
Yeah.
Don't take no for an answer from the doctors. "Oh, we are just stressed. Oh, it's just this." And I pushed and pushed and pushed, got different cardiologists, and in December was diagnosed with heart disease and an aneurysm in my heart. And then January 6th, my daughter, my youngest, moved out. She was going to live at home for college all 4 years, changed her mind, and in a blink, I'm now an empty nester, and my baby is gone, and I'm just diagnosed with heart disease, and then realized my father needs help. So January 10th, I moved in with my parents to start caring for my father. So now I'm navigating the kids' marriages, which now both are having babies at the same time because why wouldn't they? So 2 kids coming, my own health, my father's health, my own mental health, and realizing if there was ever a season that could challenge us to say, well, then this is just all falling apart. No, it's just getting interesting. And I need to not be surprised. If life has taught me anything, it's don't be surprised. Just be prepared. Be prepared to make those adjustments. And so even you asking me to be on this show today, what a blessing. I drove back from caring from dad last night. I have a day off and we get to spend this time together and share it because I'm so thick in it. But my father's at the stage that he doesn't know I'm his daughter, but he's
Mm.
the happiest guy on the planet. And so I just nurture his inner child, his spirit. We do the things that bring him joy, which whether it's in the garden, playing with bubbles, catching a squirrel, there's just this joy in watching him experience joy in these stages. And because of who I am and a media professional, of course, I picked up the camera. And so I am vlogging this. If you follow me, any social media you're on, just look up Amy Scruggs Media. You cannot miss me. And I am vlogging this journey with my father. And it is hilarious and bringing the lighter side of a painful situation.
Yes, it's so challenging to have a parent that goes through dementia. And the fact that you can give people hope, light, and even a little humor is such a gift because having been through it personally, it's rough. It's rough. So bless your heart for being
Thank
brave
you.
enough to put it all out there and finding a way to make people smile through the entire experience.
Yes.
That's
If
just
you don't laugh, you'll cry. And I think that's the same with everything. If we don't laugh, we'll cry. And I really believe that my sense of humor has been my survival guide and my faith, of course. But my sense of humor saves me every day because I think it's like I took a fall the other day that most like my knee is so bruised, I don't even recognize my own leg. I've never laughed so hard. It didn't break. I'm fine. What are you going to do if you don't laugh and go, well, that was dumb? What did I do? Don't I have 2 feet? Did I use them? Any situation, if I can find that place to just bring humanness into it and laugh at our humanness and accept those changes coming up and do the best that we can, that joy is contagious.
just is.
It just is. And
Mm.
then I at least feel more blessing and happier at the end of the day.
Phenomenal. Well, I cannot thank you enough again. So there's your social media, your website, anything else that you want to give out? How do people find you and
Just Google
soak you
Amy
up?
Scruggs, you can't miss it. Luckily, nobody real there's only a few people that have my name, but I'm the only one that pops up first in all of that. Amy Scruggs, Scruggs. Put that in there. Please follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you are, there I am. And I would love to meet you. DM me, ask me questions. I'm very visible and present in that space.
So follow her everywhere. And for goodness sake, also make sure you listen to that song. probably
What if it all
10,000
goes
times.
right?
Once you've heard it, you'll never stop listening to it everywhere. So, Amy, thank you so much for your joy, the light. You're just such an incredible human being to be around. I'm so tickled to have you here today. Can't tell you, in the middle of all the chaos you have going on with the grandkids and the father and the company, that you took a few minutes to be with us is such a gift. I
It was
appreciate
an
it.
honor, and you just blessed me beyond belief today.
You are the
Thank you so
best.
much.
Well, everybody, if you enjoyed this, please share it, especially if you know anybody who's going through building a dream. They would love that song. Or if you know somebody who's got a parent with dementia, give it a little thumbs up, leave a comment for Amy, and please subscribe to the channel so we can get the word out more often. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back next week. Take care.